Howdy, howdy, and welcome to the Societal Comedy Podcast, But It Was Aliens.
Howdy!
Where we look at historical extraterrestrial activity and determine for our listeners whether these events really involved aliens. This week, I'm your extraterrestrial investigative informer, Kevin the Grey, and with me is your bumbling, blundering, rambling, shambling, burbling, babbling co-host, Granville Moonwalker. Walked on any moons today, good sir?
No.
Today, we are off to a country I don't think we visited thus far on the podcast. Venezuela. You know where that is, of course?
South America. Quite near to Colombia.
So we are going across the world and also back in time.
Way back. Back into time.
To November the 29th. 1954. It was about 2 a.m. in Petare, a suburban area about 15 miles from the capital of Venezuela, Caracas. Gustavo Gonzalez, a tradesman from Cuba of 25 years of age, was driving his van to meet processing wholesalers with his assistant, Jose Ponce, to get some pork products to sell on the market at daybreak. As the two gentlemen drove on Bella Vista Street within the warehouses sector, silent and almost deserted at this early hour of the morning, the men noticed that the street was as illuminated as if daylight had come. Suddenly, they noticed a brilliant white object blocking the road forward. The object appeared to be a metallic sphere about 4 meters across. The men were confused.
You know why they were confused, don't you?
Because they wanted meat.
Who the funk goes to a wholesaler at 2 a.m?
Yeah, but that's
meat.
the start of their day. They've got to get up early, get the meat, then go and sell it at the market.
How far is their market from the wholesalers?
Enough away that they have to get up at 2 a.m.
It's a long travel, which would mean that they got up super early to drive there, and then to drive back, and then to do a full day's work. 2 a.m. Some shady business going on.
You don't even care about the bright white sphere.
I was about to get onto that.
You was like, they're getting up to no good. They're up too early. What time do you get up in the morning?
Depends on the day, but normally about 4 o'clock.
What time do you tend to go to the gym if you're going early in the morning?
To work or
Not
to
to
work
work,
out?
to work out.
3 in the morning.
He's up to no good.
Gotta get those gains before work, yeah?
Then work out again after work, go home, have a quick workout.
Nah, just the one. Bright white sphere. 4 meters. So, that was in the middle of the... 4 meters isn't really that big though, is it? Thinking road-wise.
Not massive. Should I continue? Or are you going to hum some more? Question answered.
Continue?
Gonzalez was pissed that someone was blocking the road and got out to investigate.
Hold on, sorry. I'm glad you continued. So they see a bright white metallic sphere about 4 meters across in the middle of the road. And he's pissed that someone's blocking it.
Yeah.
So he's not even... Like, this is normal to him.
Well, it's early in the morning. It could just be bright headlights in front of some sort of vehicle. He can't make it out.
Oh, that's a very good point. Okay, continue.
So he got out to investigate, sending Ponce on ahead. Gonzalez watched on as Ponce approached the light before running back to the van. Gonzalez and Ponce had discovered that the sphere had 2 window-like areas on the sides and a small opening less than a metre in height. But what was most striking was that it was hovering about half a metre above the street without any support or landing legs. As Gonzalez had looked on in amazement about 8 metres from the sphere, Ponce had noticed a strange entity approaching him, hence why he ran back to the van. Gonzalez saw the creatures, and at first he was hesitant, but then he advanced towards the creature and wrapped his arms around it. Gonzalez tried to capture the creature and drag it back to the van. That's right. Gonzalez tried to abduct an alien.
Okay, I was about to say that he got out of the van acting like a big hard man, but then sent Ponce.
I actually cracked up at that point when I was investigating this one. I was like, this is a tough man. And then it was like, he sent his mate on ahead. What?
But then he tries to give it a hug.
Wrap his arms around it to hold it. He's taken that bad boy.
Gave it a hug. He must not have been worried about it then, in terms of what it could do to him or anything like that, if he just ran up and...
It's hard to say. Like, did instinct take over?
But what would you do in that situation? You've hugged it, and then...
He wasn't hugging it. He was trying to take it. He was wrapping his arms around it to stop it fighting as he dragged it back to his van, which is not creepy at all.
But what's he going to do?
In the van?
Like, he has to let go at some point.
So
He can't knock it out with his arms around it.
He's going to hit it against the wall. Bonk,
Or is he going to get Ponce to give it a right hook?
Yeah, he's going to send Ponce in.
So he drags it back. Ponce, you get in the back of the van, chucks it in with Ponce, tells Ponce to deal with it while he drives off.
But yeah, I don't know whether it was like instinct that took over in terms of, I'm going to stop this thing from hurting me, hence why he wrapped his arms around it, or whether he was thinking, holy shit, what is this thing? I'm going to take it to my van where I can hold it captive and take it to someone who can examine it and determine what it is. Like, was he trying to do good for humanity, or was he just trying to survive? Or
I don't know why he was thinking.
Or was there some other reason why he wanted to put it in his van?
Right now I'm going on the fact that he wanted to give it a hug.
Now, I don't know what Gonzalez was thinking. In researching the many stories about this file, the first thought that came to my head was that Gonzalez thought he could sell it at the market. He's on his way to a meat market.
But
He's a working man. He can't afford to take a day off.
then would he do that to humans?
No.
Is this man selling human meat? Because what, are you selling it dead? Are you selling it alive? How do you know cooking it isn't gonna... He doesn't care at all, does he? He just wants the money.
He might hold it in his van and give the choice to who he's selling it. Like, you can imagine him walking into the market in the morning. Gather round, guys. I've got something to sell you today.
Do you reckon he's gonna take it back and hang it up in the freezer and use it as a punching bag like in Rocket?
He's going to send Ponce in there to train.
Ponce comes out 2 months later like,
Come on, Ponce!
hench as fuck.
So, as Gonzalez attempted to abduct the small creature, he discovered that the creature was a little gym rat bitch. The creature was strong. It broke away from Gonzalez's hold and, in releasing itself, knocked Gonzalez to the pavement. Gonzalez would later report that the creature appeared to weigh about 50 kilograms or 110 pounds. As Gonzalez got back to his feet, following the creature called its boys in. 2 other small aliens were approaching Gonzalez. One of them pulled out a flashlight and shined it in Gonzalez's face. Blinded by the lights, Gonzalez whipped out his pocket knife, and as his vision returned, he saw one of the aliens coming towards him. Gonzalez slashed with force towards the alien, striking it in the shoulder, but the blade bounced off the tough skin of the alien. The alien grabbed Gonzalez, revealing 4 sharp claws on its hands. Have you ever tried to hit a rhino?
No.
You just wouldn't do it, would you?
You wouldn't. These are pound for pound strong bastards.
Yep. Gym rats.
These are like Olympic lifters.
He's attacking an Olympic team.
They don't look strong at all, but they are strong as fuck.
They are the beasts.
He got shit kicked out of him, didn't he? When he whipped out that little knife.
And he stabbed it in the shoulder and it just went pink.
They revealed their sharp claws and they were like, that's not a knife. This is a knife.
The aliens were Australian. You call that a knife, mate?
Oh, what was his name?
Oh, it's Hogan.
Paul Hogan.
Yeah.
Crocodile Dundee. Go and watch that film we found.
When I was trying to think of his name just there, the first thing that came to my head was Hogan Brother. Hogan Brother! No, that's not the one. That's the other Hogan.
That's the twat Hogan.
Yeah. Now, I love all creatures, great and small, except earwigs. Fuck earwigs. So I haven't ever tried to cause harm towards a rhino, but from what I understand, in the many science books I've read, those bastards have tough skin.
Yep.
What we are dealing with here is basically mini-man rhinos.
Gore!
Do you remember, I was going to say, do you remember the wrestler rhino? It's basically three of him. You know one of these little sturdy shits is going to gore Gonzales any second. You don't bring a knife to a ray gun fight and get away with that.
They got gored to death, didn't they?
Gore!
Both of them or just Gonzales?
Well.
Thing is, they could have popped down and would just ask them for directions.
They could have been friendly rhino aliens.
Gonzales is...
He's just gone and tried to abduct one. He instigated that. He approached it. They were just stalled in the road trying to restart their vehicle.
Excuse me, can you tell me where the...
What? Come here, brother.
Get off
I'm
me,
going
mate.
to the market.
Get off me.
In my van.
Oh,
Next to Susan.
is it Pete the puppy?
From Jim.
Yeah,
we
we were
discussed
talking
it a
about
few
the other
weeks
day.
back, yeah.
They went all Pete on him. Incredible Hulk, Pete the puppy. These aliens have been studying.
So as this rumble was going on, Ponce tagged back in. Ponce, who had been carrying in the van, got back out and headed back towards the sphere.
Found his balls.
Found his balls in the van. They were being sold. Suddenly, a small, hairy alien emerged from the right of Ponce, walking up a slope with clumps of dirt in its hands. The little bugger noticed Ponce, jumped a full 2 metres up in the air, and into a hatch on the sphere. Seconds later, another little hairy bastard emerged, armed with a long, shiny tube, which it pointed at Ponce and Gonzales. See? Knife to a ray gun fight.
So, clumps of dirt. They
Yep.
were either scientists
Good call.
that came with backup, just in case, like bodyguards.
Good bloody call, yeah.
And that shiny tube could have just been a test tube, but they were like, let's just point it at them and see if they get scared off.
They had no weapons on board
No.
whatsoever, but
Just use whatever was in their hand,
He's
like
stupid.
fight or flight.
isn't scare them. Come on.
So, were they all hairy then, or just these two?
I believe they all were, but we'll
okay.
get into a bit more detail about what they looked like momentarily. So Ponce and Gonzales felt a sudden vibration over their entire bodies, and to their horror, they had been paralysed.
That's not. They were paralysed with fear.
As they,
So I was about to say, and I bet they felt a warm trickle down their leg as well. They pissed their pants. They ain't got no fresh pairs of panties on.
They ain't got no panties on. They ain't got fresh trousers on. As they looked on, the white sphere began rising silently and as majestically as a great horned owl before vanishing in the sky.
Yep. They took note from Jeffrey. Lord Jeffrey. And how to fly away majestically.
So despite being pulled into a fight, these guys didn't seem to be violent, did they?
No, because...
Gonzales started it. He tried to abduct one of them.
Yeah, and didn't one of them grab Gonzales and then got out its claws and was just kind of held him there
Yeah.
and decided, look, this is for your own safety. You stand right here.
Don't clench your cheeks.
I'm going to death grip you. If you try something, I'm slashing you in bits.
They were talking to them that matter-of-factly the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, look, mate, you can try and fight me, but you're not going to win. Just stay still. Be a good boy.
We just came here for dirt. Now, you had to go and be Billy Big Bollocks and get your knife out. Well, you call that a knife. Now you're fucked. Now sit there and be a good little boy.
So, we have an illustration of the event, which I will show to you now. Here you go.
So this looks like like a chalkboard drawing,
Yeah.
but a really good chalkboard drawing. If
It's
you're
pretty
drawing
good,
that.
isn't it? It's
Yeah.
better than our usual standard.
So what I'm currently looking at is the car which Gonzalez and Ponce have gotten out of. There is a sphere in the middle of the road with a little hatch, which one of the little hairy men is kind of hanging out of. There is another one kneeling on the floor as if he's bowing to him, but
Maybe he's the ruler.
I was about to say, is that the one with the clumps of mud in his hand? It looked like he might have picked something up off the floor.
The one
and told
kneeling
him
looks like he's holding something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While we clearly have Ponce running towards him, or walking towards him. Walk, run.
You can't really tell.
Mid-motion.
It looks more like a run in the walk, but it is a picture, so I don't think it
Wow.
matters that much.
Gonzalez is hiding behind the car door. So this must have clearly been before
The
Ponce turned and legged it back and Gonzalez decided to try and give one a bear hug.
Two things jump out to me in this image. Firstly, the hatch into the sphere. It is bright white inside it.
Mm-hmm.
Surely that'd be blinding to sit in it, wouldn't it?
Not necessarily.
Unless they've got light dimmers on those helmets of theirs. Although, are they even helmets?
Because if you were to
Who's to say they're not like turtle people?
have, I was about to say, a sphere like that with lights on the inside, you're on the inside, you're fine. As soon as you open that up to the outside world, that's going to be bright
I
as
suppose
anything.
it was like 2 a.m, wasn't it? So,
Mhm.
another thought. I think it was Colonel Shaw.
Hard bastard.
Yeah. After getting in a bit of a rumble, the aliens floated into their
Oh yeah,
craft.
they Mary Poppins their way back
Yeah, and these ones jumped into that hatch as well. You got to have a pretty accurate jump to jump up in the air and land directly in it, haven't you?
in. Or you're just really athletic.
So, yeah, it's not the first time we've heard of that. But here's a second illustration, specifically of the aliens.
They look like frogs.
Hairy frogs.
Were they frogmen?
Wow.
It literally looks like a humanoid frog. So imagine a frog, if you will, but it's standing upright like a human, and it has Freddy Krueger hands.
It's Frog Wolverine.
That is pretty much it.
It actually is, isn't it? Yeah.
Bug eyes.
Like, you could cause some damage with those claws if you wanted to.
yes, you
I think
could.
Gonzalez has gotten off lightly so far.
Yep. They clearly are just scientists with some form of defense. And they're like, look, we don't want to hurt you. So sit the fuck down, Gonzalez.
So, once their movement returned, the blokes were understandably crapping their kecks. Jose ran to the traffic office nearby, and minutes later, Gonzalez arrived at the same place. The gentlemen were provided with a glass of water to calm their nerves before enthusiastically describing what they had just experienced to duty officers Manuel Marino and E. Dominguez. Neither man was drunk or insane, as the officers would testify. Not in court, just generally. Ponce and Gonzalez described the aliens. The one who had a fight with Gonzalez was hairy, with stiff, dark hair, noseless, had glowing eyes, was short at about 1 metre in height, barefoot, webbed hands with 4 claws. It had a round head, which may have been a helmet, as it was also mouthless, and it was wearing a loincloth. That's a wrestler outfit. Gonzalez explained that the alien was extremely agile and strong as an ox.
Wrestlers.
Definite wrestlers.
If anything like that ever happened to me and I went to the police, I would not want a glass of water to calm my nerves. Give me whiskey. Give me something strong.
Where's that crack? I know you got some.
So they didn't hop into the car to...
They pegged it.
So they obviously pegged it together rather than just pegging it to save their own lives. They just ran
Yeah.
together, thought they'd be safer.
Slightly different routes, but both to the same place.
So they didn't run together. They
not
literally
like side
just,
by side, but they just both pegged it And they pegged it in the same place, yeah.
I wouldn't say that's the one place you're going to go, but that is somewhere that would come to mind. A police station or something like that. So stiff dark hair, like a hedgehog or a porcupine, or was that like all over their body?
A porcupine.
Because they had helmets on, so it couldn't have been like on their head.
Yeah, you're right.
On their body.
So do you have an image in your mind now, having said that, as to what these things looked like?
Sonic the Hedgehog.
I have another 3 pictures for you here.
Right, before we go on to those, in my head is a frog-porcupine hybrid. A frogupine, if you would.
Frogupine.
Ooh.
So I couldn't find who made these.
Honey Monster.
But I was about to say, tell us what you see, but... Now, these are the 3 artist renditions.
So the first one looks like... the Honey Monster with a cool pair of sunglasses on.
Yeah.
And he should be like...
He could be Bigfoot, actually, couldn't he? Or
not
Littlefoot.
kneeling, but leaning against a wall.
He's a dude.
He's just chilling. Or... So there's something that's coming from his hand, which is next to his leg. So that's either part of the wall he's chilling on, or he's got a cane or a walking stick, and he's a pimp. Or he's just old and needs it to get around. Second one looks more humanoid in nature.
Yeah.
Like,
Anything jump out to you about this one?
just a really hairy man who looks like he's just got...
Is there hair anywhere in particular?
Where a penis or genitals should be.
He's
just
got
like
a hair
a triangle
penis.
of hair that points down. And just a spearhead with 2 eyes.
It looks nothing like the other 2, but it's just a really hairy dick. You can't see any dick, just a triangle of hair. Stiff hair.
Picture number 3 looks familiar in terms of its being in a film or...
It looks like
something.
the pictures that Huggins drew to me, actually. That's just come to me as we're talking about it.
That's it.
Because I pictured one of our adverts and it's got that painting in it, and that's exactly what it looks like.
That is it. So...
Crossover with 2
did they
previous
steal
cases
Huggins'
here.
picture? Or is this thing in 2 different probes?
3. So later in the morning, Officer Jesus Antonio Yanez stated...
You'll find that's Jesus.
I know, I just want to say Jesus.
I know, I just wanted to say Jesus.
Stated that a unique incident had occurred. You hear that? Had occurred. Not was speculated to have occurred, it happened. Gonzalez was taken for medical examination on his injuries from the wrestling match, and an X-ray showed that his ribs were not fractured, but that he did have muscular distension on the side of his body.
Well, that could have been caused by anything.
But exactly, so something happened to cause it.
He could have been in a hit and run and that happened. He could have got beat up by his kids and that happened. Could have been out lifting weights in the gym and didn't lift them properly and hurt himself.
So we agree that something happened.
Yes, something happened.
We're halfway there. As news of this incident got out, people came forward to support the chaps as honest gentlemen.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Gonzalez, who was about to sell alien meat to people, is a honest gentleman. Well, to be fair, he might say it's alien meat.
Or was he trying to capture it so it could be analysed by scientists, remember?
Yeah, honesty amongst the crooks.
So these men were serious, hard-working men who went to that wholesaler at 2 a.m. every single day. There had never been any complaints about Ponce or Gonzalez. Journalists also supported the statements that neither man was intoxicated, and they'd have been charged for driving under the influence if they were. Furthermore, Gonzalez had still been nervous after the ordeal when going to hospital, but most importantly, other people came forward. That's right. There were witnesses.
Are these witnesses trustworthy?
Everyone in my cases are trustworthy.
Were these witnesses the other people from the wholesalers, or were they drunk people that were staggering around that night?
I would say there were sober people around at that time.
Doing what at 2 a.m. in the morning? I really can't say nothing considering I go to the gym.
Exactly. So you may or may not have worked out at this point that this story is pretty much the most famous alien incident in Venezuelan history. Ms. Maria Antonieta Avellaneda. That's exactly how it's pronounced. Avellaneda. Avellaneda. I think it's Avellaneda. Had been, right, let's call her Maria. Had been awake and had heard an explosion-like sound followed by a hiss, almost like a craft taking off. Similarly, Mr. Concepcion Garachan had seen a strange light object flying silently in the sky, as had others, though they are not usually named. Furthermore, at around 2 a.m, an explosion was heard by others in areas of the Caracas Valley. Meanwhile, a Mr. Manuel Maria Soria, who lived 3 blocks from the incident location, had noticed a bright light flooding his vehicle as he travelled home around 2:30 a.m. As he sped away, he heard a sharp, whistling-like sound. The sound had also been heard by his mother, as she confirmed when he returned home. That's a lot of witnesses, right?
That is a lot, to be fair.
Famous case.
So, the hiss that they heard, didn't Gonzalez and Pons say it was silent?
They did, but they were also paralysed.
True.
And when they came to, they legged it. So they might not have, they could have been frozen and not detected anything.
To be fair,
One should always be fair.
the hiss that they heard might have been Gonzalez and Ponce pissing their pants. So
A really powerful piss.
the ship didn't make a sound, but them wetting themselves did. And I don't think Mr. Manuel's mother likes him, or she was expecting a daughter, because you have the unfortunate name of Mr. Manuel Maria.
Maria, Maria.
It's like your parents calling you Kevin Ann.
That is an interesting name, isn't it? Yeah.
Kevin Ann.
Granville Debbie. You're going to grow up confused with a name like that, aren't you? But there were more witnesses still.
What?
Yep. Dr. Julio Garces. God, my pronunciation of these names, I apologise. A lab technician was driving nearby and heard screams.
Whoa. Who was screaming?
He just heard them.
So Gonzalez and Ponce failed
Getting beaten up.
to mention the fact that they screamed. while they
You
were
know
getting
full
beaten.
well, as soon as Ponce walked up to them, sent on by Gonzalez, and saw those things, he was like, "Help me!" Yeah! He ran him back, absolutely filling his pants.
The screams of frightened men.
Indeed. So Mrs. Elsa Dudestat also saw the bright light rising skyward in the shape of a spherical disc. In fact, many residents living nearby all reported seeing the strange light, but would not give their names due to fear of being taken by national security, who are now looking into the incident. People had gathered outside their houses, thinking the explosion and bright light was some sort of government weapon. A police search begun in the nearby area, but nothing was found. The file remains unsolved to this day.
Ooh, pretty minimal.
So there are some contradictions in this file. Several reports I read stated that the aliens weighed anywhere from £35 to £110. The flashlight was also reported to be a lantern. Lots of witnesses heard the hiss, but Ponce and Gonzalez didn't hear anything, as you rightly pointed out, which, to be fair, could be explained by their paralysis. Who knows how conscious they were, or whether their senses were also subdued. But there we have it. Thoughts?
I'm
Saying that it was aliens.
on the fence.
Ooh. You like that fence lately?
So, yeah. quite comfortable.
I'm going to get you a cushion for that fence.
Perch. So was 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
Did someone fancy a cup of tea? And stuck a kettle on.
Everyone in the neighbourhood woke up at the exact same moment and stuck that kettle on.
Yep.
Like the break after EastEnders, or it's half time in the NFL.
I mean, how badly they weren't hurt, were they?
Not hugely. It sounds like they could have been hurt a lot more, but the creatures decided to leave them.
Could also be a case of they started a fight with the wrong people.
Or maybe this species, despite the interesting claws, were actually peaceful, and they were collecting dirt. They could have been here conducting scientific experiments.
Or they were human. And
with claws.
Gonzalez and Ponce were acting tough and got the shit kicked out of them by people much smaller than them.
Yeah, what really happened?
So they concocted this story to
a car broke down in the middle of the road.
Make it seem like they didn't get the shit kicked out of them.
Gonzalez wanted to get to that market and get the best spot, so he sent Ponce to sort them out and get them out of the road.
Ponce came back. Gonzalez was like, I'll grab him now. And then all of a sudden, he just got gored.
Yeah. A couple of luchadors had him. So to summarise, Ponce and Gonzalez encountered a light blockage in the road when off to pick up pork to sell on the market, as they did every day. Upon inspecting the blockage, they discovered it was a hovering craft. They saw aliens. Gonzalez tried to abduct one of them, but the aliens were strong. They fought back. One alien had a handful of dirt. As the scuffle ensued, the aliens pulled out a shiny tube which paralysed Ponce and Gonzalez before flying away. There were many witnesses to the light in the sky. Gonzalez and Ponce went to a local station, and Gonzalez had indeed picked up some light injuries. Both men were of reputable nature. What do you make of it all? I am saying that it was aliens. That was your inner monologue there.
My name is Granville.
But I'm not saying it was aliens.
We ain't at that bit yet. You're supposed to be telling me what you make of it all.
I personally think they just got into a fight with people they expected to beat up.
But what about all the witnesses who heard like the explosions and stuff?
Maybe there
so
was
many witnesses.
other things actually going on.
National security investigated it.
But came away with nothing.
Or they haven't announced what they came away with.
That's a good point. So,
Surely,
until they do...
If these guys had just had a fight, they'd have come straight out and said that. They just got in a fight. Nothing to see here, people. But what they've actually done is just gone quiet. Quiet.
What's happened? What's happened since this?
Silence.
But from who?
Everyone.
Like everyone.
People don't want to talk about it because they're scared that they're going to get silenced if they do. Gonzalez and Ponce are still reputable men who go about their day selling meat and whatnot. But they didn't.
This did happen.
They didn't ever go to seek notoriety from this. They just faded back off into their normal lives.
I'm going to say that with a little bit more evidence, I'd be willing to say this is aliens.
There is no more evidence.
Until I have that evidence, I'm saying it's not aliens.
You son of a bitch. Bitch.
However, if you were to come back to me in a week or so with more, I'll let you have this.
I'm going to touch on that note regarding a previous episode in a minute. I'm just going to wrap up this one because I need to give my conclusion, and clearly I am not saying that it was aliens. Because...
Oh yeah. What have you held back?
Nothing. There's just not enough evidence for me either. I think it's an interesting one, and it's good to have some characters in the tales who are more honourable. How often do I say someone's trustworthy and they turn out to be Hitler?
That's true.
So yeah, it was a nice one, and I really liked the idea of a man trying to abduct an alien rather than the alien trying to abduct the man. And also I thought it was interesting that they made the point of noticing that they were collecting soil samples and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So that would be more in line with what I might expect an alien to do. Like everyone expects them to come here and conquer us or whatever. if we were studying, if we had technology to visit other planets and whatnot, we might investigate them as we do animals. We're not just necessarily going to go there and conquer.
Science project.
Yeah, so they might even be taking soil samples because they've had issues on their home planet and they need soil.
Recreate.
Yeah. So yeah, I like it. I find it's quite a romantic tale, but like I say, it's just, there's not enough there, is there? Need some more meat on the bone. So I'm not saying it was aliens, but on the note of previous episodes, coming back to them, I've been digging on Travis Walton.
Oh, you have?
I have. Did you know that he has a significant background in fraud?
No. I'm still saying yes.
But anyway, that just about does it for this week's episode. We've really enjoyed reading your 5-star reviews, and please do continue to leave them for us as it really helps us, and we are considering reading some out on future episodes of the show. But for now, you can find us on Instagram at But It Was Aliens Podcast. We're on the Twitter at But It Was Aliens. The Twitter! We've got a Facebook group called Extraterrestrial Towers. Come probe us, or probe with us, whatever you'd prefer. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to But It Was Aliens! And we will be all up in your ears next week. But before then, if you're a little confused and are feeling some doubt about anything in your life, get in touch with us and we can help you establish the truth, because the truth is up there. #probe.
You've been a very naughty girl.